Yeah, until last session, like we were discussing about the quality of Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna is the one who maintains his calm even in the midst of agitating situations as well as happy or unhappy situations. So the quality of Sthita Prajna is very much favorable for a person who wants to progress in spiritual life. So now in this class, we'll discuss about, like we discussed how what should be done for one to progress in spiritual life. Like Krishna gives the example of tortoise, right? Just how like tortoise when it finds any threat, immediately it closes its hands and legs and head into the shell, so it can be protected. In the same way, a spiritual practitioner, uh, with respect to the sense objects which agitate his mind and senses, he should be very careful, he should be very watchful. What is distracting me, what is going to agitate me, and immediately he should keep away from them. So connecting to that, Krishna quotes this verse number 60. यतो अपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः इंद्रियाणि परां प्रमादीनि हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः. Even for a wise man who endeavor for the control of senses, O son of Kunti, the strong senses take away the mind by force. Okay, one of the strong senses. Okay, so even like we saw many examples of, right, how Ajamil was a nice Brahmana boy. He was doing everything nicely, well read, respectable. But he just saw one side of one man and woman embracing and doing some illicit activity. And he got totally disturbed and his life totally ruined. His life went in totally opposite direction. Finally, by the mercy of Narayan, he was saved by the mercy of holy name of Krishna. So that is the power of holy name. So for one to progress in spiritual life, or in fact in any life, the control of senses is required. When the senses are in control, the mind will be peaceful. Otherwise, uncontrolled senses, they cannot progress in any field. Like, what is the difference between an animal and a human being is how much the control a person has on his senses. Animals act by instincts. Humans act by intelligence. Humans use the intelligence. So humans control the senses and uses his mental efforts in right direction. So that's why even if somebody has to train an animal, he has to control that animal, starve it, and for an animal learns by repeated chastisement. So that is the way. So here Krishna is saying, even if one of the senses which is distracted will take you away from the right path, it will distract you. So Krishna says, what is the solution for that? Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matpara vishehi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. The yogi who is devoted to me after restraining the senses will remain seated unresponsive to the sense objects. He whose senses thus have been brought under control is a Sthita Prajna. Okay, so who is a Sthita Prajna? A person whose senses are brought under control, only that person can be a Sthita Prajna. Because unless you control your senses, means like unless you did like Sthita Prajna will not like he may engage in eating, sleeping, and everything as just like normal person, but he doesn't identify with the situation. He is not controlled by the situation. He controls the situation. He remains aloof. He has that internal control within him. That's why there are two ways we address. We call Maharaj. like somebody who conquer lot of land, who is the ruler of the land, who is the controller of the entire kingdom, he is called Maharaj. And a person who is actually controlling his senses, controlling his inner kingdom, is also called Maharaj. That's why great scientists, sannyasis, and that such kind of people, we call them as Maharaj, because they have exhibited, they have succeeded in controlling their senses. But Krishna is warning, even if such a kind of person, if he is not careful, even one of his senses not being careful can destroy him. We gave the example of how, like moth, when in the middle of night, we set up a nice blazing fire in the middle of forest area. A lot of moths will get attracted to the fire. Oh, they think, oh, it's such a glaring fire in the middle of darkness. They get attracted by it and they just dash into the fire and they just lose itself. Means the sight is the cause of death for them. And means the eyes are the pulling senses for them. And in the case of honeybee is nose. Honeybee is not intoxicated by the smell of the honey within the lotus. So it goes directly into the lotus and it stays there, and lotus in the night it closes, and due to suffocation that honeybee dies. Okay, that is the power of the smell, when distracted by the power of smell. And we saw the example of male elephant, how that person trains the she elephant to rub the male elephant and make it walk near the trap. So the female elephant will walk beside the trap, and male elephant will be intoxicated by the sense of touch, and it follows the female elephant in such a way that it will walk over the trap and falls into the trap. So like that. And the deer, what does hunter do? Hunter plays a nice flute, and deers will get infatuated by that flute. They become very relaxed. They're like, basically they are very protective. Even if a hunter prepares to shoot also, they will come to know they have to run away. Then they will run away. So when a hunter plays the flute, due to that sound vibration, due to hearing of the sound, nice music, they become inert and they lose their alertness, and due to which they will be killed or captured. So if in these animals, if one of the senses is making them lose their life, what to speak of a person whose senses are always wild, whose senses are never controlled. So that's why Krishna is saying, even one of the senses, a person who endeavored, who has developed full control of his senses, if he is not careful in associating with sense object, he will become a victim quickly. But okay, you restrain your senses from associating with sense objects, and you develop control over them. But we told them, right? Like we already discussed, how one cannot restrain the senses for long, because we gave the example of Vishwamitra Muni. He meditated for thousands of years. As soon as Urvashi came, he just heard the ankle bells of Urvashi, and he just gave up his meditation and associated with Urvashi. So he fell due to the power of lust there. Again, then he, after some years, he realized, oh, what I came to do and what am I doing, and he just gave the association of Urvashi, and then again sat in the meditation. Again, he meditated for thousand years. So after, like when his austerity level, when his tapasya is going nicely, when he is nicely progressing in the spiritual life, Indra will send one more damsel, Ramba. And Ramba comes this time, and Vishwamitra Muni sees Ramba. As soon as he sees, he understands, oh, this is a trap, and he becomes angry on her, and he looks her in an angry mood. She burnt to ashes. She is burnt to ashes. So he lost all his power again due to anger now. First he lost due to lust, and second due to anger, and and one more time this what is his name? one king was there, like he was so much attached to his body. He wants to go to heaven with his body after his death. I, huh? Huh? Yeah. So he goes there and he approaches Vasishtha Muni. Is there any way to do that? And Vasishtha Muni says, no, there is no way like that. You get away from here. So and he somehow that the king gets Trishanku, yeah, Trishanku. Okay, so this Trishanku, he was very handsome man. So he was so much attached to his body, and then like he actually gets cursed also by one of the saintly person. You are so much attached to your body, because of which you are doing all these things. Let all your bodily beauty, you lose all your bodily beauty. So his body gets like filthy and he's not very beautiful. But she was so much attached to his body. Then he comes to know about the quarrel between Vasishtha and Vishwamitra. So Vishwamitra's first time is lust, second time is anger, third time this Trishanku goes to him. Trishanku goes to him and says, Vishwamitra, dear, dear sage, can you please help me go to heaven with my self-same body? So then this time Vishwamitra says, how is it possible? This material body, nobody can go to heaven with this body. That is not possible, he says. Oh, Vasishtha also said like that. Then how great are you? So Vasishtha also means like then, as soon as he utters the name Vasishtha, he took as a competition. Oh, Vasishtha rejected you, then I will send you to heaven with self-same body. So he actually, with his tapashakti, with his power of austerity, he actually sends that person to heaven. And Indra sees Trishanku with such a filthy body coming to heaven. He becomes angry and he kicks him off from the heaven. So Trishanku starts falling down. And this Vishwamitra Muni uses his power and puts Trishanku there only, in the middle only. And he prevents him from falling down. And Indra says that nobody cannot, this person cannot enter with the body. No, nobody. In fact, nobody can come into the heaven with a material body. So Vishwamitra, what he does, he creates a parallel heaven for the sake of Trishanku. So there he lost all his power. Means somebody who is not careful enough with lust, greed, anger, they will lose all these, whatever spiritual progress they have achieved, just like that. Means you struggled so much to accumulate all, all the good things, and then you just lose like that. So that's why for that one should have proper positive association also. See, there is do's and don'ts. Okay, first we discussed, right, what not to do. Don't engage your senses in sense objects, control your senses. But how long you control your senses? We saw the example of Vishwamitra. He controlled his senses for so long, but when some provoking situation came, he just let loose everything. Because the senses senses cannot be controlled. So for senses to be controlled, it should have a positive engagement. It means like you not only give the negative thing, you should also take up the positive. Then only, as we all discussed, right, our mind needs some engagement. Ideal mind is a devil's workshop. So when a person is ideal, then his mind has a good chance of falling down. So, and Krishna gives how Sthita Prajna controls his mind. Okay. Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matpara vishahi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratisthita. The yogi who is devoted to me after restraining all the senses will remain seated unresponsive to the sense object. He whose senses have thus been brought under control is the Sthita Prajna, that we already said it. Then Then Krishna explains how, cautions Arjuna how this fall down will happen. Okay. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसा संगस्तेषु उपजायते संगात् संजायते कामात् क्रोधो विजायते. Means for a person who meditates on the sense objects, attachment arises. Means somebody who meditates on sense objects, attachment to the sense objects arises. From the attachment, from that attachment arises desire. From the desire, desire to possess more, desires to have that sense object with him only. That kind of desires arises related to the sense gratification. And when such desires are not satisfied, from the desire, when such desires are threatened, immediately it transforms into anger. So dhyaya means how we meditate on sense objects. So everything starts with the thinking. If we are careful with our thinking process, as soon as some wrong thought come, immediately we have to take care of, take shelter of something positive, or take some preventive action. It's like you should consider it like it's like our mind is like a wooden cottage. As soon as some sense gratificatory or wrong thought come, we should consider it as a fire. We should immediately take emergency action. See how, like in America, fire is so much feared, right? As soon as some fire or smoke is detected, everybody will be on that, because when the fire is allowed to increase, or when the fire is allowed to grow, nobody can control. The fire can be easily controlled on the level when it is very small. So this objects of sense are sense entanglement, entanglement to the sense enjoyment. It is also like that. When some illicit sense desire comes, on the level of thinking, if you can control it then and there, it is very easy. Like even if the children in the beginning, like parents should give freedom to children, but they should be very, very careful and watchful what they are associating with, how they are, what kind of friends they have, what kind of internet they are watching. They should be always monitoring it. As soon as they sense something wrong direction, it is easy to correct in the beginning stages only. If they get addicted, it is very difficult. So our mind and senses are also like children. So controlling the senses when it is in the beginning stage is very easy. So just like when we go online, we see a lot of other things. We go to search for something, some important related to our work or some related to our spiritual thing. We want to listen some class or something like that, and we see many distractions, and we immediately some desire arises. Let me check what is there in this. It looks like very tempting. So just let me see for 1 minute or 2 minutes, and it easily takes 2-3 hours. So such is the power of the senses. Okay, like we discussed the example of Sita Devi, right? Sita Devi was there, and she wanted to, she desired this Maya Mruga, means that the deer, the golden deer. Golden deer doesn't exist at all, but she was infatuated by that, and she desired. She never asked anything to Lord Ram. As soon as she wanted something other than Lord's devotional activity, immediately she sent Lord Ram to get the golden deer. And Lord Ram kept Lakshman as a protection. But she, not only when this trick by Maricha happened, she sends away Lakshman also. So Lakshman, while going, what he does, he protects the cottage by mantras, and that is called Lakshman Rekha. He draws a line. You be in this line and you'd never cross this line. I'm going, as per your request, I'm going to search for Ram. So take care of yourself. So we are all like that. So when we are on the, like Lakshman is represents Guru. Okay. So Guru gives some instructions, like what does Srila Prabhupada says, he said 4 regulatory principles. Now you follow 4 regulatory principles and chant holy name of Krishna. Rest I will take care. Means no meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, and no gambling. These are the 4 regulatory principles that Prabhupada has suggested. And chant holy name of Krishna, like as much as possible. Like he said, minimum 16 rounds. Okay. So when Sita Devi was alone in the cottage, Ravan came. So Ravan came like a saintly person. So the objects of sense gratification, they also like comes like a saintly person. Like they say, okay, you are very tired, you need a change. You can just just for a change, just for a creation, or they are something like you see in India, first Doordarshan came. In what Doordarshan used to do, they only weekly once cinema and weekly once 1/2 hour one song, movie songs for recreation and news, weather. TV came with a lot of positive stuff. It came like a saintly person. So while coming inside, it came like a saintly person. And Ravan also came like saintly person. And Sita took off her guard. Took off, okay, she thought, okay, Lakshman said not to cross this line, but I don't see any threat here. This is a saintly person. So I will just cross this line, give charity to this saintly person, and then come back again. So she crossed the line and then went out. And immediately Ravan displayed his full figure with 10 heads, not all hands, mystic powers, and everything. And that as long as Sita was behind this line, she had the power to control. She has the control over the situation. But as soon as she crossed that line and went the other side, she is the control by the situation now. Like Ravana has the control, full control. He immediately was able to kidnap Sita. So that's why Guru also says us, don't do this. Now, Krishna as Jagat Guru is also saying, don't engage, don't become subservient to your senses. Senses can never be satisfied. You want to satisfy your senses, that is not possible at all. You may gratify your senses for thousands of years and hundreds of years. After 100th year also, senses will demand more and more sense gratification. So the only way to control the senses is to control the sensual desires. Yeah, I have a question.
So whatever Sita Mata did, that was for dharma, right? Because she wanted to perform her son. Ravan in the other form was asking for food and for shelter. So whatever she did was for dharma. How do we recognize then with our senses what is good and what is bad in such situations where things are not recognizable?
Yes. When we don't have this this knowledge how to recognize what is good and what is bad for us, we have to follow strictly the instructions of spiritual master, the Guru. Lakshman had given the instruction to Sita Devi, right? You be in this time and never cross this time. So Lakshman represents spiritual master. So if she would have followed that instruction, she would have said, I cannot cross this line at any cost, do whatever you want. And of course, Ravan threatened that I will curse your husband, something like that. But there is no power that can come against a disciple when he is following the instructions of a Guru. So if you don't have that intelligence, then we follow the instructions of a Guru. Then we'll be saved. So that is the thing. Okay. Person meditates on the sense subject. Okay. Then when person meditates on the sense subject, then due to this object's desire, attachment arises. Due to attachment, when this object of sense gratification is threatened, immediately anger arises. When anger arises, क्रोधोद्भवति सम्मोह स्मृति विभ्रमः स्मृति भ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. From anger arises bewilderment. Means from bewilderment comes loss of memory, and from loss of memory comes loss of intelligence, and from loss of intelligence one becomes completely destroyed. Okay. Means we saw, right, we are attached to some sense gratificatory object, like we are attached to our car, we are attached to some situation. When that is threatened by somebody, we immediately become angry. We become anger arises. When anger arises, immediately bewilderment. Why bewilderment arises? Means that rejection, what is good, what is bad, what is permanent, what is not permanent, what is to be given importance, what is not to be given importance. That sense of discrimination will be lost. So when that sense of discrimination, due to this bewilderment, comes loss of memory. Means why loss of memory? Because we are all hearing all these things, right? What is good, how to control our senses, Hmm? Not able to, even if you have the previous experience also, like how the situation in our group, following this, or, like I should not be so much angry, so much, like, all these good sayings from parents, elderly people, from gurus, shastras, entire memory will be lost. You have hard disk and connection to the hard disk is cut off. So you don't have any access to the information. Then you will be controlled by the situation. Means you will be controlled by the anger and bewilderment there. From the loss of memory comes loss of intelligence. No, means that kind of, when the person loses his memory, means loses all past past instructions or nice instructions given by, then he will have loss of intelligence. Okay, when a person lose, what is the purpose of intelligence? Intelligence discriminates what is good for you and what is not good for you. When the intelligence is lost, intelligence is like a chariot driver, senses are like horses, and the soul is like the person in the chariot. So when the horses are under the control of the intelligence, under the control of chariot driver, he can control the senses. But when a sense doesn't have that control, then he will be like they will be going wild. That's why if we see many people acting so so much crazy thing. So here now this picture I sent. This is a nice depiction. Okay, this person, he is seeing some women, like oh, she's a nice woman. Like, then she associates with that woman. Maybe it's not a like a allowed, like a legitimate relationship. Then he associates with men, and from that other side comes some threat. Okay, that the relationship is threatened, and this immediately this person becomes angry and he loses his discrimination, and due to discrimination he loses situation. He knows what to do now. We see many crazy things happening, right? Sometimes someone proposes to somebody, doesn't agree, put acid on their faces, so all those crazy things. Why? Because of this uncontrolled senses. How to control their desires, and how to know how to they are controlled with the situation. So for one to have this power of discrimination, they should have proper renunciation. Proper renunciation means what to be used, what to be taken into our life, and what has to be rejected. How much like the yukta vairagya means they should have the discriminatory power. Like the development of Krishna consciousness, one can know that everything has its use in service of the Lord. Means, see, when you are saying reject the object of sense gratification, it doesn't mean that you actually give up everything. The only thing is you cannot give up everything, because you have the senses, you have sensual, you have desires. You cannot control them for long. If you control, then it will become like a machine. Means then what to do with that? Prapanchika Vishaya Buddha Hari Sambandha Vastuna Mukshubhi Parityago Vairagyam Palgu Kathayet. Means those who are without knowledge of Krishna consciousness artificially try to avoid the material objects, and as a result, although they desire liberation from the material bondage, they do not attain perfection of renunciation. Means externally they may keep the sense gratificatory objects away. Okay, no this thing, no that thing, no going out, or no associating with anybody, no watching anything, no hearing anything. I'll go and sit in the cave. No, I won't talk anything. Means complete control of sense objects. But you externally you may reject everything, but internally you have attachment to them. So that kind of persons, they cannot achieve the perfection. So that is called falgu vairagya, means false renunciation. So, but what is the real renunciation? As long as we're in this material world, we have to act. Right? We cannot cease acting. Means we cannot give up all this activity. Whatever we have to associate with, we have to be in a society. We have to associate with the society. We have to work. We have to deal with many people of many mentalities. We cannot avoid that. Therefore, if actions are performed and the fruits of action are given to Krishna, then that is called Yukta Vairagya. So then, when what is the best option that we have is we perform all the activity, but give the results of the fruits of our action to Krishna, offer our actions to Krishna. That way we become fully Krishna conscious. Means all our endeavor, all like whatever we have been associating with objects of sense gratification, or different kinds of endeavors that we put in this material world, everything becomes Krishnaized, means everything becomes Krishna conscious. So actually situated in the renunciation, such activities clear the mirror of the mind, and as the actor gradually makes progress in spiritual relations, he becomes completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Rupa Goswami says, Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagyam Uchyate Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatartam Upayanjita. Okay. Rupa Goswami says, like now, something which is Krishna conscious thing means like you have to give up which is not favorable to Krishna conscious, means which is unfavorable to our devotion service, and we should be attached to something which is favorable. See, if you associate with materialistic person, going to pubs, going to parties, going to different places, then you'll also tend to do the same thing. But if you associate with the devotees who are like to steady in their spiritual life, who are progressing in their spiritual life nicely, then you will get motivated to do that same thing. Like it is same with the as a student also, right? If you want to do well in the studies, you associate with the students who are studying nicely. So in the same way, when we associate with the like every object can be used in Krishna consciousness. Because it is said that in this material world, everything, anger, greed, envy, except envy, everything can be used in Krishna consciousness. So envy is the only thing that brought us from the spiritual world into the material world. What is envy? So envy is something which is like if something is more beautiful, something is more somebody is more intelligent, somebody is more wealthier, then we become envious of them. Oh, why this person has got? Why not me? Means we become ego-centered. Why? Because see, Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita, any prosperous thing is his potency. If somebody is very beautiful, means he got little bit more of Krishna's beauty. If somebody is more wealthy, he got this potency of Krishna. Krishna, what are the six opulences of Krishna? He is all beautiful, all knowledgeable, a wealthiest person, all famous, and very powerful, and he is full of renunciation. These are six qualities of Bhagavan. So if somebody possesses these qualities more than what we possess, then we become envious. So it is then that envy will become hindrance for our spiritual progress. So except envy, everything can be, even lust, greed, anger, like anything, everything we possess can be engaged in Krishna's service. How? Like gopis, they were lusty for Krishna. Means lusty means transcendental lust. Okay, means they always want to associate with Krishna. And this Hanuman, he displayed his anger in the service of Ram, because when he went for the search of Mother Sita, he actually burnt entire Lanka. If a saintly person should not do all those things, right? But Hanuman does that. Hanuman fights for Ram. Means he engages, like when devotees and when when other saintly people are threatened, one can display that, one can utilize that anger in the Krishna service. Greed to develop more, do more and more service, greed to progress more and more in our Krishna consciousness. That is also can be engaged in Krishna service. So like that, everything can be engaged in Krishna service. So like that, just by like replacing what we are enduring in our life with Krishna conscious effort, then we become actually more progressive in our life. Just like we discussed that example, right? How, like, somebody fighting for a country, if he kills thousands of enemy soldiers, he'll be rewarded. But if he, because he is doing that for as a service for the country, or service for the king. So, but if that same person comes home and kills a neighbor for himself, then he'll be arrested and kept in the jail. Why? Because the purpose behind what we are doing is also matters. So we can be doing everything what we are doing, can be maintaining family, doing our job, like have a role in the society. But if you does in a spirit of service to Krishna, under the guidance of a nice bona fide spiritual master, then it will actually brings us closer to Krishna. Means it will actually take us, it can take and even takes back to Godhead. So here in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was bewildered. He's saying, how can I be happy by killing my relatives? But Krishna says, don't fight for yourself, fight for me. That way you can do your duty and also you don't get entangled. If you kill that person thinking that if I only kill this person, I can be happy, then you will be entangled. But for the sake of establishing dharma means dharman to sakshat bhagavad pranita, means whatever Krishna says is dharma. Whatever Bhagavan says is dharma. Why Bhagavan? What is this? What is the motto of behind this dharma is Krishna is the well-wisher of every living entity. Not able to recall the words. Suhridam Sarvabhutanam, that's the main line. Means he is a well-wisher. He is a well-wisher of every living entity. Just like a father is a well-wisher of all the children. In the same way, Krishna is a well-wisher of everyone, even the envious, non-envious, animals, everybody. So if we follow the instructions of Krishna, means we are actually serving Krishna. So dharma, the principles of dharma is for the well-being of every living entity. So if you are following the principles of dharma, means we are serving Krishna. Means we can dovetail all our propensities. When we dovetail all our propensities in the service of Krishna, it will be service to the Krishna's movement. Just like there used to be a wealthy jamindar in a village, in a town, and he used to have a very beautiful bungalow, and it has a nice walls which has very nice exposure, that anything written on those walls everybody can see. So then what used to happen, anyone who wants to advertise anything, they used to go there and write on that walls. And this jamindar used to get so much angry, he used to bring them, call them and punish them. So he becomes notorious, means that jamindar becomes very famous for this kind of thing. Means like anybody messes with these walls, he'll be punished very severely. So one time, like two young friends, they had a bet, like if you can write anything on the wall of Jamindar's palace, because the thing is, if you write something on the wall, then you'll be punished. So one friend said, no, I will write, but I will not get punished. So he went there and he wrote something on the wall. So he immediately the gods came and arrested him and then took him to the Jamindar. And that friend said, no, my lord, please come and see what I have written. So when he took that Jamindar to show what he had written, he nicely written that strict no bills on this, and nobody should be nobody write means he posted a notice, he painted a notice there, nice notice. So anybody looking at the wall, then they will understand that they should not write there. So Jamindar, instead of punishing them, he rewarded them. Okay, I like your work. Huh? He gave him some money and appreciated him and sent away. So that way, action is the same thing. You can get either punishment or you can get either reward. So if you work favorably in the service of Krishna, then you will be rewarded by the material nature. You will be rewarded by Krishna. But if you work against Krishna's will, if you work under the influence of anger, greed, lust, for your personal benefit, for your sense enjoyment, it is going to affect other living entities, and for that you will be punished according to the laws of karma. So whenever Krishna says something, it's not for his benefit. This entire Bhagavad Gita is for the benefit of all the living entities. Whoever takes this message seriously, whoever takes this message, applies this message in our life, they not only can live in this material world, they don't have to give up anything. They don't have to go into the mountains and do tapasya. You don't have to renounce everything. You renounce the spirit and you dedicate that to Krishna in his service. So that is called Yukta Vairagya, means Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Uchita, means something which is favorable to Krishna's service. That has to be performed. Otherwise, if it is not, then otherwise it will become a Falgu Vairagya. So next it says, Raga Dvesha Vimuktaistu Vishayan Indreshcharan Atma Vishyayar Videtyatma Prasadam Adhigacchati. One whose mind is submissive, who engages in the sense objects with senses. One whose mind is submissive, who engages the sense objects with senses, freed from attachment and repulsion, under the control of mind, attains peace. Means one whose mind is offered to Krishna, even though he enjoys the sense objects, the senses is freed from attachment and repulsion, under the control of the mind, attains a pure mind. Means that, like as we said, if we might be attached to something, but as long as Krishna is in the middle, then it will free us from the attachment and repulsion. From this peace arises when we are above this conceptions of attraction, repulsion, or attachment or hate, then from this peace arises. We take everything that comes into our life as Krishna's mercy. Prasadam. Prasadam means mercy, because we call food as prasadam, right? Why? Because as per the law of karma, you eat anything, means you are indebted to, like you're eating something, means you are eating jiva jivasya jivanam. Every living entity subsists on something, some other living entity. You cannot eat some dead object, you cannot eat mud, right? So you have to eat some other living entity. So if you eat some other living entity, even the plants are also living entities, right? So when you are eating the grains and you're eating the fruits, means we are actually eating the different aspects of this different plants or some other living entity. Means everything that we eat will give us some reaction. But if you eat a living entity with higher consciousness, it will give more graver reaction. Because the plants have very low consciousness. Even if you take out this, like fruits and everything from them, they experience very least pain. They're actually, their consciousness is very low. That's why. So due to which we will be entitled to karma even after just being a vegetarian. But if we kill an animal who have higher consciousness, because the animals have higher consciousness, right? We can see they have feeling, they have love, they have emotions. So if we kill the higher living entity with higher consciousness, it will give to higher sin. So if you eat plant, you will get lower sin. If you eat animal or any meat, you will be getting higher sin. So anyway, you will be getting some sin, right? Then how to even avoid the sin at all? By offering that food stuff to Krishna. When we offer that whatever we eat to Krishna, then it becomes like, when Krishna will remove the karma from that from that thing, just like, because everything is Krishna's property. If you go to a friend's home and you see nice nice artistic thing, nice artistic object, very attractive object, which he recently brought, and you see and you are very infatuated by that, and you just, without his notice, you just take it away. It becomes a sin. But instead of that, you go to him and says, okay, can I take this this artwork, and I will keep in my home for a few days, and then I'll give back. Then that friend will give, okay, oh, nice, please take, you can take this also, and then you'll give other things also, because you are taking that thing with his permission. So in the same way, when we offer that food stuff, that whatever we eat for Krishna, means we are saying, Krishna, you are the enjoyer, you enjoy it first. Then when Krishna enjoys, that means it becomes free from karma. Yes, sir.
When you're telling about offering eating food and stuff, should we offer the food to Krishna, or should we offer the action of eating the food? Should we offer the action or the food?
We should offer both. We should offer food, means we are not like, if we offer food, then we'll have the consciousness that, okay, this food that I'm cooking, this see, when we go to market, buy some food objects, and we cook and we offer, right? So when Master, can you lock the door? Can you lock it? Push it. Yeah. So if we offer that, if you have the habit of offering to Krishna, then what you'll think is, okay, whatever I'm going to buy is I have to offer to Krishna. Means you will meditate on that. Okay, I have to pick nice vegetables. Okay, Krishna doesn't like this kind of vegetables. Krishna means as per the directions of spiritual master. Means your Krishna conscious while you are shopping, while you are cooking also. You will not meditate. Okay, I'm eating to while cooking you should not take and taste, because we should not offer juta to Krishna, right? So we'll be very careful. We'll maintain very high standards while cooking. And when we offer to Krishna, we first offer to Krishna, and Krishna, like Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhakta Prayashati. Means like anybody who offers even a leaf, flower, fruit, or even water with love, I will accept it. So Krishna says, even if you are able to accept this flower, leaf, and water also, why can't he accept this our nice food stuff with which we prepared with so much love for Krishna? Krishna will definitely accept it. So when Krishna accepts it, then entire effort of shopping, cooking, everything becomes spiritualized. That way we will be freed from the sin. So when, as I told the example, right? If you take with permission, then that owner will not become like feel like a robbed, right? Otherwise, we'll be eating like later on it will come that now if you don't offer anything to Krishna and then eat for the sense gratification, you are eating sin. Means sin, like if you eat meat, it will be higher sin. If you don't eat meat, only vegetarians eating vegetarian food, it will be lower sin. Okay, but anything, if you cultivate this habit of offering to Krishna and taking that as a prasad, that will be best way of leading the life. Okay, like that every aspect, working, like maintaining family, maintaining like position in the society, or everything that can be offered to Krishna. You can do everything. I can do everything as a service to Krishna. So when we do when we take everything as a prasad, when we take our life as a prasad of Krishna, prasada sarva dukkhanam harani asyo panjat. From this peace arises. When we act in this way, from this peace arises destruction of all the distress. Quickly, the intelligence of the peaceful minded person becomes completely fixed, because we are doing everything as service to Krishna, then we will not have this anxiety. No, I should be the enjoyer, I should be the controller, no, I should become first person, like that. Then we will be free from this egocentric life. Okay. Then for the person with uncontrolled mind, there is no intelligence fixed on the soul and no meditation on the Paramatma. Without meditation, he has no peace, and without peace, there is bliss. Okay, means for somebody who is not leading a spiritual life, he cannot meditate on Krishna. Means like the way you while performing any action. Otherwise, if you don't meditate on Krishna, you will be meditating on yourself, your enjoyment. What is the loss if we meditate on our enjoyment? If we meditate on our enjoyment, if we do everything for our enjoyment, if we achieve the result, we tend to repeat it again and again. We want to do it again. Oh, because we achieved the goal. See, like somebody wants to enjoy something. If he enjoys something, he derives some pleasure from that. His mind get conditioned to it, and his mind will demand more and more of such things. Okay, so first time, like somebody enjoys robbing a bank, robbing a small shop. So he got some $5,000. So then his mind gets conditioned. See, robbery is so nice thing. You just do one act. You don't have to work so hard. Just one act, one night or 1 hour, you got $5,000. So next time what will happen? The same person will plan for higher robbery. Right now he robbed a grocery store. Next time he'll rob a bank. So like that, his desires will increase and increase. And if you don't attain your sense gratification things, you endure something for your sense gratification and you don't achieve it, you'll be frustrated. Oh, I endured so much in my life is waste, I'm not able to maintain my family. Somebody who is enduring for sense gratification, they will meet like this. But if you see some saintly person, they will lead a very simple life. They don't have very grand or very opulent life, but they will be fully satisfied. Why? Because they are doing everything as a service to Krishna. By Krishna's mercy, if something comes, they will take. Otherwise, if it doesn't come, then that they say this might be Krishna's desire. Then they will move forward. That's it. Means they have full renunciation, full control of the senses, and full peace of mind. So a person without uncontrolled mind, he doesn't have peace of mind, and he will not be able to meditate on Krishna. And without that, he will not be able to see every situation in a Krishna conscious way. If he is not able to see every situation in Krishna conscious way, he will not be able to attain the peace. And without peace, there is no happiness, because you may possess many things, but if you don't have peace of mind, means Atma Shanti. When will the soul will have peace? Because when we are nicely connected to Krishna conscious things, when we are fully Krishna conscious, then we'll have full with peace of mind. So 67 says Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano anuvidyate tadasya harati prajanam vayurnivam ivambasi. One of the moving senses with the mind, which mind follows, steals away the intelligence as wind blows a boat on the river. Means even if one of the senses is not properly controlled, it will lead to the complete destruction. It will take away our entire intelligence. It can take away. I think we are getting late. I thought of. So we'll continue this session till next week also. Do you have any questions? Yes.
Prabhuji, I just have a question.
Just a minute.
We need to.
Just a minute.
Okay,
Yes,
sorry.
Little louder, Mataji. Little. Can you take out the mask and speak?
Say that person is enjoying something,
Mm.
and then the person gets happiness from it.
Mm.
Then we repeat get happiness from it. But it is only specific to material things or dancing or music can also be considered in that.
Yeah, if that dancing for Krishna, music for Krishna, that is not materialistic. If there's service to Krishna, Krishna should be involved somehow. or other. Otherwise, it will be materialistic. Then you will be dancing for the pleasure of your friends, and you will immediately see other dancers as your competition. So they are there. But if you are dancing for Krishna, Krishna says, Bhavagrahi Janardana. Means what is your feeling towards Krishna? He sees that. So how much you are dedicated, how much you are surrendered, how much you have service attitude, how humble you are. So when you are dancing in a Krishna conscious environment, then when you see other dancers who are doing more, then when you're dancing for Krishna, you give importance to Krishna's pleasure, not your pleasure. Means how much Krishna is enjoying you seeing my dance. And when somebody dances more nicely than you, then you say, oh, this person is giving more enjoyment to Krishna. This person is very nice. Means that way you will be free from this factor of envy. But if we dance, if you do anything for our own enjoyment, for our own sense, if I dance, people will appreciate me. I will be the star of the evening, like that. Then you will see all. I'm just giving an example. You will see all the persons as a competition. Everybody, you as soon as some new dancer comes, you look him as the enemy, like just like a competition. Any more questions? Nice question, Mata.
I love to dance, but I don't do it much in the public. Only do it for my
Yeah, you can dance for Krishna. Yes, yes. You can dance, you can put deity of Krishna and you can dance for Krishna. Only with Krishna. Yes. Anybody have any more questions? Yes, bro. Mother, you have a question, right?
Yes, Prabhuji. The question is like quite simple. Like you said, we need to offer anything to Krishna and then take it as a prasadam.
Mm.
So, is there any particular process for
Yes,
offering
Mother,
to
we
Krishna?
give how to offer everything to Krishna. We discuss in that next class. Okay.
Okay, sorry, Krishna.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll give everything. We'll discuss in detail. That is application part. Okay. This is a theory part is
Okay.
over now. Application part we'll
Okay.
discuss in the next. Okay. We can
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
we can offer everything. We can offer the food we prepare. See, in the temple, everything we prepare, we first offer to Krishna. Now when you come to temple, we take prasadam, right? It is not food. We call it as
Yes, Prabhuji.
prasadam. Why? Because we offer it to Krishna.
Prasadam.
It
Yes.
is the mercy of Krishna. Okay. We'll discuss that in the next class. Anybody have any more questions?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes. Mother, you have any questions? Okay, we'll end it here. Thank you all very much. Karandraj Bhagavad Gita ki Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki. So we covered until verse number 67. 66 is that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.